Welcome, fellow lushes. Come on in, pull up a bar stool, and enjoy some cocktails with Dimples and the Beard.
All right, I guess we got to start.
Let's why don't we get the old tavern going right away?
All right, so welcome back to another episode of Cocktails with Dimples and the Beard, horror movie.
Horror edition.
We've got Bryn Dami.
Dami, say her last name?
Bryn Dami, writer, director, actor from the movie Never Return. Maybe is she in Never Return?
I don't think she is, but we will find out tonight.
Writer and director.
She's got enough roles, so maybe she doesn't need to.
Right?
Hey.
But she is an actor as well.
This is behind me.
Yeah.
You
didn't open it.
I did. It's unplugged.
Oh.
But nobody knows.
Whoops.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Didn't pay the bills again. Good job. All right.
There it goes. Hey, check us out on Twitter. Go leave a comment. Go follow. XXX.
Cesspool.
I shouldn't say XXX, boy, should I?
Shithole.
Leave a comment. Love you.
Love Elon Musk, but your platform is a fucking... Anyway, follow us there, though.
Yeah, go check us out.
You might see tits.
You're gonna see eventually. I mean, in the stream, but eventually on ours.
All right.
Well, let's never leave a pretty lady waiting.
All right. So without further ado, Bryn Dami. So thank you for joining us, Bryn Dami. I've been practicing that because it just I want to say Dami, but I saw you say your own name, so I'm like, okay, that's how it is. It's Dami.
And it's always been Dami?
It's always been that?
Dami, yes.
You didn't change it when you're older? And no.
Yeah, no, Bryn Dami, yep.
All right.
Okay.
And you are the writer and director of Never Return, a movie that's going to be filming here come summer of 2025. So, So thank you so much for coming on to talk about it, because we love horror movies.
Yeah,
and we appreciate it because obviously you're busy with all of what you have the preparation for this movie,
right?
Yeah, it's been crazy. The last couple of years, I've been really digging into pre-production for this film, and I have such a great group of friends, people that I can call my friends that are part of the cast and crew. So it's been great.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think, hey, I'm going to write a movie, I'm going to get it out in a year. But this has been a long time coming, and this is not unusual. As the more we talk to indie makers, so how long ago did this project start for you in your mind?
Well, I actually wrote this script when I was in high school, and I had it on stage. So I was 16 going on 17. I'm 25 now. So I knew one day, once I put it on stage, that I wanted this to be a feature film one day. It was just about, learning more about the industry and finding a great group of people. And and I'm very lucky in that sense. They make my job easy. And I feel like half the time I don't have to direct. They just know what to do, and we all keep moving. And that was shown to me while working on our teaser trailer, which I hope you guys enjoyed, and anybody else that has seen it has enjoyed, because that's just the tip of the iceberg of what's to come for this. But yeah, so I wrote this when I was 16, wanted to make it a feature, and then I've been in pre-production for 2.5 years. And the reason why it's been that long is the strikes and, getting the rest of our funding together, of course, so we can film and everything's properly taken care of and whatnot. So,
yeah.
So do you determine hey, I'm going to do a fundraiser. I think I need this much money. Being so new to it, how do you know how much money you need?
So there are certain things that I am still learning, which is something I love about the process of this, because I've worked in front of and behind the camera. I've worked in finances. I've done a multitude of different positions when it pertains to a project. But for me, as far as the funding goes, it is honestly the hardest part I have realized, because everything else has been easy breezy. Talking to the agents for the actors, talking to SAG, getting locations, getting everything set up in contracts, all of that has been simplistic. But when it boils down to the funding, it's like, oh my gosh. And that's why independent film has always been deemed as the nitty gritty boots in the mud, because we are ultimately fighting to find that funding ourselves, or are putting our own money in to make this project come to life. And I love Hollywood. I grew up loving movies because of my family, my parents. We've all been movie buffs since I can remember. So I've always been intrigued to learn all these little things. So being in this position that I am now, it's very eye-opening, and it can be at times frustrating and overwhelming, but I think that's the beauty of it all at the end of the day too. And why I love it so much is not everything's perfect, and it can't be. And it's been an amazing experience because of the people I am working with.
Wow. Yeah, and you are that's amazing, and I can only imagine when the whole thing is done to be able to sit back and go like, I did everything essentially. You know, like this is all me. I brought it from baby to whatever it is when it gets released in the theater. So right. what a cool experience.
It is.
So how much is it? And so I guess I'm going to take this two different ways. So as a 16, 17-year-old kid writing something to today, how much did the script change? And then how much did it change from theater to screen?
Well, one thing I also have noticed starting in theater is they are very similar in certain senses, just minus the cameras. You're working with a lot of the same equipment in certain senses that you would in theater that you do in film. Lighting, sound, mic packs, all those things, wardrobe, I can go on and on. But that was one thing that intrigued me, is the similarities and how easy it was for me at least to adapt to it. Now, as far as the script, though, it has changed pretty drastically. In a sense of there are more characters, there's more depth to them. Because when I wrote this for stage, it wasn't a full play. It was a one act, and it was for one of my classes in drama that I was taking, and it can only be like a certain amount of time, a certain amount of pages, all this criteria and whatnot. So I added more characters, added more depth to them. There's more comedy, there's drama, there's love, there's friendship. It's not just about the horror and the gore. You're going to see that and experience it. But for me, when I write, I also want to write characters that I believe people will fall in love with. I look at a bunch of TV shows and movies that I've grown up to love, like The Walking Dead or Sons of Anarchy, and you see these characters grow and develop as time goes on, whether it is in a show or in a movie, and you just fall in love with them. And when they go through something, you empathize with them, and you feel for them. And I love getting that kind of emotion with a story and a character. And I think that's why a lot of people love watching movies and television.
Absolutely.
It's not only just an escape from reality, but you're also seeing parts of yourself in a way in these characters, or what they're going through as far as the plot goes. And so that's what I love about writing itself, is finding. But
that's good proof of
characters
that that's good proof that they're good characters. If you do, get involved with them. Mm-hmm. If I watch a movie and I'm not involved with the character, well, you lose interest. And
you see those you see those characters that you either love or hate so much. Like I couldn't watch Joaquin Phoenix act for like a decade because I hated him so much in Gladiator that and you're like because he was so good in Gladiator, and every role he has, he's brilliant in. But it took me a long time to turn around and be like, okay, I can watch his movies and not hate him right from the get-go.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And, like I've seen plenty of actors in a multitude of different shows and in film. And sometimes you look at one film and you're like, oh my gosh, I can watch that film over and over. I love their performance. And then they do another role and you're like, what happened here? And that is another thing too, is that's not always on the actor. It depends on how the set is run. And so like another thing to even quickly add for me, like as a director, in my head, I hired the actor for a reason. They're there to do a job. So I prefer to give the actor a little more leeway. let them figure out the scene and be in the moment. And if there's something that I need to direct technically, or even just like, hey, can you do this instead of acting this way? And so it makes more sense in what is going on within the situation.
Yeah.
And like I said, though, like doing the teaser trailer, I was so taken aback. And granted, the actors have had time to sit with the script, but I'm like, holy shit, these actors know their characters, and I feel like I can just sit here and let them play, and it's a beautiful experience.
Makes directing a little bit easier when you got actors that you can just let do their thing, huh?
Absolutely. Because all I have to do is sit there, watch the monitor, and be like, wow, okay, we can keep moving. This is great. And
Yeah.
especially when you have that extra time, say like the actor is like, can I redo that again? Like, I understand you liked it, but for me, I feel like I can bring more of that. Yeah, we have the time. Let's do it again. And that's why like scheduling can be a little crazy, especially in the indie world. Because if you only have like a 7-day shoot, you're like, oh my gosh, okay, like we have 12 hours a day cap. Like if we're working with SAG, like we can't go overtime or this, that, and the other. And it can get stressful. But when you have a group of people that genuinely want to just have fun and are hardworking, you don't feel like you're working. And that's the beauty of it. And finding those core people that you want to stick with.
So once you do start filming the full length, I mean, now you did the teaser, so they were in their characters short-lived, kind of. So then you'll maybe be able to see if they take the character in a different way, because to your point, the actors kind of have time to morph and go, hey, I want this character to be, maybe give it a different backstory. Do you feel you're going to let them go? Or do you think you'll step in and say, no, I really want my character to do this?
I personally think that I'll let it play out. I'll let it simmer. And I'm a very detailed person. So like I can sit there and watch and be like, okay, this, okay, that, okay, this, okay, that, and not trying to think of like the word or the phrase here, not lose it, if that makes sense. So I feel like, okay, for example, like say if there's a group of them in a car and they're arguing, but one actor's like being way too goofy about it, like when it's supposed to be a more serious argument, then in that moment I would be like, hey, like I understand what you're trying to do, but in this moment, this is a very serious argument here. So you need to be going at each other's throats, not like a back and forth goofiness kind of thing. Like you dislike each other even though you are friends kind of thing. And even in those like serious certain moments, there can be times where it can seem funny, which is, and I have some dark humor in me. So sometimes I'm like, I shouldn't be laughing while seeing this or whatever, but I am, because like, so it depends. It depends.
Well, I think most of us horror movie fans, we all have a little bit of that dark comedy in us, right?
Absolutely.
I was going to say
that. I think that's what keeps us going a lot of times, you know?
It's got to be something, right? Why do we keep going back to the gore and the horror? But we do.
Absolutely. So speaking of that, and I don't know if were you done with that answer? I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
No, you're perfectly fine. Well, because even when you started the episode, I was like on my phone and I was like, oh crap, okay, yeah, we're in this. Let's go. I was like, oh, no.
We just get going. We don't fuck around. We did a little intro of you before we let you in the room. So so we just get going. So
hey, no, I appreciate it.
I got to know what happened to you as a kid that you're writing horror slasher theater at 16 years old. Like that's not necessarily normal.
Hey, that is very fair, very fair. Well, from about the age of like 2 or 3, my dad was the one who really got me into horror films. So I started watching them very, very young.
Wow.
And then I just hear stories from my family about, you know, oh, like you'd come over and you're like 3-4 years old and you want to watch Nightmare on Elm Street. You want to watch Freddy Krueger. And I was like, well, obviously I don't remember that because I was very young. But I don't know really honestly, like what to pinpoint as far as that goes is like where, oh my gosh, I like love it. I feel like it was because I was very young and I just adapted to it from watching it so much. Now,
Sure.
am I still a little bit of a scaredy cat? Absolutely. If I go to a haunted house and someone's chasing me with a chainsaw, I'm out of there.
Yeah.
I don't play with the chainsaws. No.
That's fun though. That's a good part about continuing to be a horror fan, right? You just still love the spook.
Absolutely. And I mean, I would say like now I can say, you know, it's all an escape, no matter what genre you're watching. It's a nice little escape. You get to sit there and enjoy something. You're not dealing with something in your life for just an hour and a half. And you get to dive into these characters and the plot and understand what's going on. And again, almost relate to them in certain senses and who they are. And, you know, again, like with my writing, a lot of these characters have a little bit of me in them.
Yeah.
Or people that I know. And
Sure.
it's just cool. Like, I'm still giddy about the whole thing of, oh my gosh, I'm about to make a movie. So sorry if I get a little cheesy over here, but
Are you
know,
kidding? No, that's...
Yeah, enjoy it. You should. That's amazing. Not everybody gets to do their dream, so live it.
And I've also been very lucky because I have a very great support system. You know, a lot of people are backing this and backing my cast and crew. And we really are like a family at this point.
Yeah.
Like, they're all wonderful people. And I've met them through going and working at cons or just attending cons, or someone's introducing us. And it's like, we've all just connected in our own little ways. And now I'm like, when we get on set, are we really going to be working? Like, it's going to be fun.
Well, it seems to be one thing you really see a lot in the indie horror genre is these groups of people who all work together from movie to movie to movie. You know, like obviously the Terrifier people, a lot of those people move from movie to movie. And we just had Chrissy Fox and Spider from Little Bites, both of them on, and they kind of all travel in the same circle and, you know, have the same actors back for all their movies and stuff. Is there any reason for that? I mean, you guys just get comfortable together and
well, and see, this is where, like I said earlier, like, I love Hollywood in certain ways, and then others I don't. And I personally don't have any problem being vocal about it. There's a lot of craziness that happens in Hollywood that is unfair to a lot of people. And I feel like once you're able at this point to find even just one person, or it's a big group of people like the Terrifier cast and crew that can continue working together, it's a bond, it's trust, it's respect. And you know, as soon as you bring that person back on set, no matter if they're acting or they're running lights or sound or camera, whatever, they're going to be able to deliver what you need, one, but two, you're going to have a fun time. 3, the work's going to get done.
Yeah.
That's
the product's
a big part,
come
isn't
out
it?
at the end of the day. And so then that's where it's like, wow, we're family. And I think that's what makes the experience easiest, especially in the independent realm, is finding your film family. So that way it's not like you're not saying nobody can't argue or have issues, but it's a matter of, it's not going to happen that often. We can trust each other and talk to each other and not have those kinds of issues often. Because there have been plenty of people, including myself, that have been overstepped and disrespected, and it's not a good feeling. And it gets uncomfortable when you have to address it, but you have to address those situations so it doesn't affect everybody else involved. Yeah.
I mean, the cool thing right now is indie movies are so in and so vote, you know, like they're really the thing right now. And I love it. 'Cause I love that, you know, I love watching what you guys do with limited budgets and, you know, how you can create brilliant characters, like you said, and you can do it in an hour and a half instead of 3 hours, you know, like, I mean, I just love the whole nitty gritty, you know, down and dirty of all of it.
And I think there's more passion there with it. Like, you really, truly don't need millions of dollars to make a movie.
Right.
And I think that's another thing that should be talked about more. You get the money that you need, make it, and then you'll make double, triple, quadruple what you made, like, to make the movie. I mean, like a Terrifier 3. 2 million, made 100 million. Like, that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it is insane, and it's such a cool thing because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, indie and horror just go so well together. Like I can't say that I've ever seen like a big budget, big studio horror film that's actually been all that good. So most of them are the ones that were made on, for pennies on the dollar, and it's just indie's where it's at with horror.
Even back in the 70s, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that was
right.
where the good ones were back in the 70s,
Right.
were kind of the indie ones and the low budget ones, which as a grade schooler, my first was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that, me and my grade school friends might talk to our mom into renting. And we all got our own garbage bucket because we heard people were throwing up in the theater, and we sat around and watched it with our buckets in front of us. Nobody threw up, but that was my first gore horror movie way before I should have.
Yeah.
Which one do you remember affecting you like the most? Or
I mean, the first one I ever watched was Halloween 4
Okay.
with Danielle Harris.
yes,
And I think, honestly, if I'm not mistaken, I'd have to ask my dad again, but I'm pretty sure that was my first horror film that I ever watched. And I think it was easier because at that time, like, Danielle was a young girl. I was a little girl watching that. So it was easier for me to watch that and relate. One that I mean, before Terrifier became this huge phenomenon, the first one, when I watched it when it was streaming on Netflix with my dad and I were watching, and Dawn's hanging upside down, and I just remember like looking at my dad looking at me, and I'm like, this ain't gonna happen, right? My dad's like, no, he's not gonna do it, and then he does it, and I was like, okay. Okay,
that's the beauty of,
like
of that is he does it.
It's that really, honestly, that scene still affects me. There was just something about it that, like, I was like, oh, okay. As far as like maybe even a psychological type of, not directly just horror, but more psychological, Midsommar and Hereditary were very weird, and like you were just like, what is going on? But they were both very good films. And Midsommar was A24. I love A24 film.
Yeah,
I have yet to be disappointed by an A24 film.
Right.
But I would say the first Terrifier, that scene with Dawn, was what the first one to really like smack me in the face.
You're not the only one. I think that pretty much anybody that watched it went, they're never going to do it.
The first Terrifier is I think at this point probably my favorite horror movie of all time, and I love that it brought back what I remembered as a kid in the low budget kind of just slasher flicks, and everybody dies, and it's I just loved how it was done, and there was no rhyme or reason to it. It was just a lunatic clown running around killing people for no reason. I'm
Well, and what I love about that franchise too is how they've been able to build the story from there. And like I said, I give all of them kudos. I've become cool with a lot of them. I mean, Kaylee from Terrifier 2 is on this film, and she's a wonderful friend of mine now. And they're all really great people. They're all hardworking people, and they really deserve what has built off of all of this. Damien, it really has just broken barriers down for the indie world in general, but has also, with no regrets and no pushing any brakes, said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I don't care. It's mine, and I'm going to make it the way I want it, and I highly respect that. And that's why, like, for Never Return, I mean, we've had to push filming a little bit because of certain circumstances, but at the end of the day, too, I want to make this properly, and I wrote it the way I wrote it for a reason, and I want to respect my own work. And so that's why, like, making this properly is very top priority for myself and for everybody involved.
So what does your schedule look like? How many days will you be shooting?
12. We're going to do 12-day shoot.
12 days. Whenever I hear the amount of days on these indie films, it never ceases to amaze me how you cram so much in.
Didn't Chrissy and Spider do Bury the Bride in like 7?
Possibly.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
And
was
I was
crazy
like-
like that.
Well, in Little Bites, I think they did in 2 weeks. I think it was 14 days for Little Bites.
Yeah. Could have
And
been.
that's indie. That's indie right there. And
Yeah.
you know, the more money you get, obviously, the more time you get. But I mean, I think it also just depends on the script and what you have to get done to where that's where you can minimize it. Is this doable in 12 days? Absolutely. But if we could have a month, that would be even better.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
even a month is like, oh my gosh, what a blessing. But it's when it comes to studio stuff, that's why you see all these studio films doing like 3, 4, 5, 6 month shoots, especially when you look at a Marvel movie and then you're not seeing it come out until the following year.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's so much that goes into it besides the filming aspect. You got post-production, you got visual effects, and just a bunch of stuff.
Right.
And so that's why I feel like I still obviously for the millionth time have respect and love Hollywood in certain ways, but indie really gets into the mud, and I
Yeah.
feel like there's more passion in it there.
Absolutely.
Well, and you guys do the practical effects, which I love more than the special effects behind the camera work.
Yeah.
So what do you got in store? Not that you can tell us everything yet for practical effects on this movie.
I will say this. I have a couple of friends of mine that used to work in the hospital realm, nursing and all that stuff. And
Good source.
my
so the practical effects are actually practical. She's getting nurses on staff to take
That's
care of
so
them.
practical.
the reason why I say that though is because they're going to help us like make sure that this looks real.
That's cool.
Nice.
And that's what I want it to look real. I want people to be grossed out in those moments because there's not a lot of them. There's so much more to the story than just that, like I said before. But when you see those moments, I want people to be like, oh my god, I can't watch this. I just think that's another huge part of the gore of horror. You want people to be grossed out. Otherwise, it's like, what are you doing there?
Right.
Gross me
right.
out.
And pretty much everything's been done. So you got to kind of stand out somehow from a head cut off or a
Yeah.
chest getting cut open. It's been done 100 times, but we never get sick of it, do we?
No. I will say, okay, let me see. I'll leave it at this. There is going to be something with the Achilles tendons.
That's always a bad one. That one always makes you cringe. That one's just a.
It gets me.
Yeah.
It does. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's one. Maybe it's both. I don't know. But
I
you're just
can't
going to
wait.
have to wait and find that part out.
I can't wait.
So, would you like to just give us the premise? What is the story? What is the story for Never Return? What are we getting ourselves into?
Never Return is about a group of friends that go on a weekend getaway to their friend's cabin, Jackson, Carter, and Zoe Todd. But we jump 4 years later and find out that the girls, Jackson's sisters, Carter and Zoe, have gone missing.
Okay.
And so, they're entering adulthood. They're all about to graduate college, and they want to get together as a group again, create more memories, honor Carter and Zoe. And they think it's going to be another fun weekend, some drinking, maybe some arguing, but they're going to create those memories and have a good time together again. And little do they know, they have sinister forces hunting them down, and they have to fight to live.
All right.
I don't know.
And we'll have to find out how many actually survive.
Yep.
That's
I feel like a lot of people will be interested in how the story really unfolds. I'm really trying to watch how I phrase stuff because if I say one wrong thing, I'm like, oh no.
And I respect that, which 100% you got to do this early.
Everybody
Yeah.
will enjoy it. And
But that's part of the fun too. Sometimes when you go to these movies with a bunch of people, it's okay. Forget the 80s slashers where you knew who was getting killed first, second, and third. But nowadays it's better where you can say, try to guess who's going to get killed, who's going to be the last one standing. It's not always the main person.
Right.
So
right.
I don't want you to give it away, but
Yeah.
that's always fun.
Yeah, thanks to Scream for that, right? That was kind of the Scream was kind of the first one that threw a loop in the modern one.
Yes.
First modern one, yes.
Mhm.
Okay. All right,
So,
I'll give you that.
Yeah. To kind of throw it out there where you didn't know, like when Drew Barrymore gets killed in the first scene, you're like, what is happening right now? This isn't right. Like,
That's not right.
Right.
so
But I'm a huge Alfred Hitchcock fan, and Psycho is one of my favorite films, regardless if it's horror or not. And so I bring it up. I always go back to it because that was the first slasher. That was the first killing off the main character. He's ahead of his time. So,
Oh yeah.
do you like old horror creatures like Frankenstein and werewolf and things like that as well, or just modern?
I do. I don't watch them as much, but I do enjoy them. I would say I'd probably say Frankenstein would probably be more of my favorite. I'm excited to see the new Frankenstein movie that they're bringing up soon. I think it comes out later this year or next year.
okay.
I think it's next year. Yeah.
But I'm intrigued by it, especially the cast. I feel like if we're gonna bring a lot of stuff back, remakes and whatnot, I think in this time I feel like we should be digging a little more into like the Monsters universe
Yeah.
instead of remake, reboot.
Yeah.
Yes, it's exciting and it's cool, but honestly, at least for me, leave some of it alone. Like just let it stay where it is. Don't add to it. Don't remake it. Because then it's like, oh yeah, we're excited, and then you go and you're like, oh, why?
They never live up to the original. They just don't.
So to your point, I did go and see the new Wolfman. Did you see that?
I didn't see it yet.
And it doesn't matter. So but I love the old Wolfman, right? Mm-hmm. So when I say Wolfman, I didn't like it so much. If I just said it was a movie, I liked it. You know what I mean? If they would have named it something else and not tried to bring the Wolfman on it, because it was more zombie to me than Wolfman. So I liked it, but yet I didn't.
Well, see, that's how just the way you phrase it, that's how I feel about Halloween Ends. Like, had Michael Myers not been in Halloween Ends, I probably would have enjoyed it. But there was just way too much that happened to Michael himself. Like, you're talking about Michael Myers, that I was like, that's not my Michael.
Thank you.
And my dad and I will go on and on for days about how angry we were by the time that movie ended. And I said, no.
I join with you. I'm with you 100%. That was the worst movie, horrible for Halloween. And I
haven't even seen it. I won't watch it. I'm like, I don't even.
And like Kills was okay. 2018 was great. I enjoyed 2018.
Yes.
Kills was okay. It just got cheesy with The Evil Dies Tonight for me.
Yes.
But the way that they ended Michael was just not it. It just wasn't.
Thank you.
I expected more for him because you don't you guys don't care if I cuss on here, right?
Absolutely not. No.
Don't fuck with Michael Myers.
No.
Point blank. Nobody can fuck with Michael.
Yeah.
And
no, sorry. I should have messaged you that earlier because we don't care. We're there's plenty of cursing.
But because of the way they ends, I now took away from 2018. I don't like it as much anymore because the trilogy got worse and worse. And literally, I don't have it. I don't own it. I will not buy it because I hate it so much.
Yeah, we don't.
You don't understand the shock that comes with it because I'm literally behind me. I'm staring at like 6,000 DVDs. Like this man owns every DVD that's ever been made. I think so.
And
I love it.
But you don't have those.
No, because I'm a huge one of if there's a trilogy and I like one, I have to buy all three.
Even if the other two suck.
Even if they suck, I get it. I have literally not gone to the three.
You mean like this guy, like John Wick?
I got all three, but even bad ones I will get. But I can't bring myself to buying the last three.
And see, like, I just want to ask you real quick too. Like, how did you feel about Rob Zombies?
So let me just throw this at you. Halloween in '78 is my favorite horror movie of all time.
Heck yeah, same here.
That's my favorite. So for Rob Zombie, I like Rob Zombie. I didn't need the backstory.
This Rob Zombie.
Yeah, I didn't need the backstory of Michael Myers in his version. Once it got beyond that, it was fine. I thought it was fine.
But speaking of the backstory, I have to commend you on. I saw your short interview with Dag. Is that his name, Dag?
Yes.
And that was cool because I had no idea who that dude was, and
oh my gosh, he's amazing.
Yeah, what a cool interview that was. Yeah,
and he was. So I'm bringing my podcast back finally. I took a break for a little bit because I again working on this and doing a multitude of other things, but I am going to bring my own podcast back again as well. And I'm very lucky to have had the guests that I've had on my podcast already. They're again all great people.
Yeah, when your first podcast is Art the Clown, like that's pretty good. Yeah.
Well, and when you look back at that now, like that was during COVID, so it's like even like you go back and watch that and you're like, wow, like look where he is now. Like Dag, for example, like he did Euphoria and he's a rapper.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like it's so cool to like see where people like are. I love all that stuff.
And Dee Wallace, by the way, what a treat.
Love her.
Dee is amazing. I love Dee.
Wow. So I want to finish on and then get into something else.
Yeah,
so
sorry, what did you about?
No, you're fine because I got to spew about Rob Zombie. What did you think of Rob Zombies compared to?
So 78 has always been pretty much like my top favorite. Following like 4 and 5. 5 was like, meh, but I still love 4 and 5 as well. Rob Zombie's Halloween films, I honestly really enjoyed them and I liked them a lot, especially the second one. And the reason why I loved the second one more was because I loved the dynamic between Scout and Danielle, so Laurie and Annie. Because obviously in the original, Annie didn't live. So it was interesting to see that character come back in the second one. And you just see everything that Laurie's going through during that time and how both of them are adjusting from everything and how broken their relationship has really become, even though they love each other and they always will. And then you get to the part where Annie's dying and you're like, oh my gosh, like no, like this can't happen, like they need to fix their relationship still. And I just think that their dynamic in that second film was what drawed me the most, just their relationship. And that's why again I love when good characters are written, and I thought those two just killed it in the second one.
Yeah.
In totally different direction, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And I think that's also cool. Why I appreciated it, because Rob, I love pretty much all of Rob's work. Like I love, House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, 3 from Hell. I like that he went a different way, because it wasn't supposed to be just like the original. It wasn't supposed to be just like the other ones. Tyler Mane, big dude. And man, him playing Michael was very brutal, and I appreciated that too. Rob just has this grittiness in all of his work.
He does.
That is different and darker, and I love it. Especially like tips of the cap to like the 70s and like early 80s. Like I love it. A lot of people say I'm an old soul, and I swear I would have thrived in the 70s and 80s, and I just say more and more, I wish I was born then. But
don't disagree with you on that.
Oh, and well, because my parents, they were born in 76, had me when they were 23. I'm 25 now. Like, I'm just like, darn, I wish your parents had you earlier so I could have been born earlier. But it's okay. I get to semi-live through it through cinema and hearing stories from family and whatnot. So I guess it's not the worst.
So it's sorry,
70.
It's always great when the guest parents are younger than us.
Oh no!
Oh yeah. So I mean, I lived the 70s, but I was grade school. So I wish I would have lived it a little older. That would have been fun for me. But he's right. He's right.
I was when my parents were born in 70. I was it must be 72, please. 76.
Yeah, 76.
Wow. All right, good for them.
Good for them.
Now, I am curious about the parents.
yeah.
Do your parents? Does your dad, since he's a big horror guy, does he have any interest in a little cameo in the movie? Like, does he want to? Like, is there any of that in there?
Will
like,
you let him
write me in?
So, fun fact, in the teaser, when the axe is going through the door,
Yep.
that was my dad.
Nice.
And listen, the crazy part of it is, and it made my heart, like, I was like, it's okay, relax. He wanted it to be perfect. And again, nothing's perfect. So I was like, listen, just hit the door, breathe, do what you feel is right. I'm just going to keep yelling out to you on what to do. I'll tell you to keep going. I'll tell you to stop, all that stuff. So just listen and do it. You'll be fine. Because we only had one shot to do it. One.
Right.
That was it.
You're breaking a door. Like, you probably don't have a lot of extra doors.
No. And it's funny
Or
because
the budget to make doors.
Right.
literally, we filmed that in 2 days and then hung out the next day and then went home. So, like, we're setting up the camera and everything. We put certain, like, a sheet and stuff up. We're shooting in my cousin's garage. She said, I have this old door. You can come and bash it in. I said, cool, great. That's what we're doing.
I'll take it.
So we went down she's like an hour and a half from me. She's like on the border of PA and Ohio. So we go down and then we're setting up for that. Kaylee and Josh had already filmed their little part of them reacting. So it's just focused on getting this last shot done, my dad hitting the door, and we're wrapped on that night. Set the sheets up so no wood's like flying anywhere for any reason. And so I call action. And he starts hitting that pallet in the door. And I just say, keep going, keep going, keep hitting it, keep hitting it. And when that busted out the way it did, I was like, oh my gosh. I was very lucky that he wanted and was willing to do it, but also proud of him that all he had to do was listen, and he did. And I was like, thank you. And that's all we needed, because obviously we didn't have another board to put in, but it worked. And he really did a great job. So stunt double, yes, he is.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah, he is.
How cool is that?
It's super cool. And as a dad, I could see how you want to do it right for you, for your little girl. You want to. Now, are you an only child?
I am an only child, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That explains a lot. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I have no idea what that meant. I just threw it out there. But yeah, as a dad, it's like you want to do it right for your daughter. You don't want your daughter to come up and be like, great job, Dad. Yep. Take the day off. I'm going to just do it myself. You want to do it right.
But how many dads are going to be able to take direction from their young daughter? Like, like you said, proud of him for most dads are going to be like, no, we got to do it this way. You know what I mean? Like,
wow, you took that, different direction.
Good for him.
Well, and might I add, he also, and this made me giggle, he was very mindful of who the character was. Which I was like, are you an actor now? Like, what's going on? But I loved how mindful he was, and he was very careful, because it was a live axe. So, of course, I'm like, okay, if we're not shooting this, like, don't, just put it over there. Put it over there.
Put it down.
No fucking around, Dad.
Just put the axe down. Put it down.
Please don't do that.
Don't swing it around.
He was very professional about it. He's never done anything like that in his life. Never been on a set, nothing. Everybody loved my parents. I keep hearing all my cast and some of my crew rave about them, and I'm like, they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We talked about it earlier, right? He watched how many horror movies, and he put himself in characters as he's watching the ones he loved and not, and I'm sure that came out in him that day.
Oh, he was geeking out, straight up geeking out, and
That's
I was
awesome.
so there for it, like, with him. And yeah, will he be doing any like stunt stuff for the movie? Probably. I'll let you know.
He's gonna show up on set every day, whether I use him or not. He's gonna be like, "You need me? You need me?"
If I was a dad, if I was my daughter, I would do the same thing. But
Oh, yeah.
what about? You keep saying stunt double. I'm assuming and we're hoping to have you back on, and with many, many, many more horror movies as your 24 and
25. Yeah.
Many, many years ahead of you.
Right.
So we'll put our wheelchair up to the table and interview you for your other movies. But if he's like me, I want to be in front of the camera.
Hell yeah.
Maybe not your first one, but I think your dad wants to be in front of the camera. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
He can
Absolutely.
he can be your Stephen King. Just randomly show up just once for a little
Walk through.
Facts. He literally, it's funny that you just said that too, because one time he was like, you can just have me be that like harbinger at the gas station and that says like, you shouldn't be here. And I was like, okay.
He's got so many characters built up in him that he wants to just let out.
Right. All right.
Well, we also came up with another idea together for another horror thriller.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in the middle of that script as well.
Oh, nice.
So
okay.
I have plenty of scripts ready to go, and
Yeah.
I just want to keep creating and doing what I love. So,
What does your writing process look like? Do you sit down in front of a laptop and be like, I'm going to write 5 pages today, or do you how does it work for you?
once I start, it's very hard for me to stop. Like
Okay.
I just keep letting whatever I'm feeling or thinking flow. And then eventually, like, I'll take a little bit of a break and I'll go back to it. Make sure I'm like really paying attention when I'm going through it. Like, okay, do I really want this character to say this? Do I really want this scene to go this way? I try not to say I have writer's block, because I feel like, and I'm again speaking for myself, I just feel like that's an excuse for me to like not sit down and do the work.
Sure.
So I'm always just like, I'd rather like spew a bunch of stuff and then go back and fix it.
Sure. So in that same sense, when you start to go, do you think you know how it's going to end, or are you just like, I'm just going to keep going and it'll show itself sometime? Or
Well, it's weird because I'll be writing and I have scenes in my head that
Right.
I can literally see. Like if I was on a set right at that moment, I know exactly how it's going to look. I'm literally staring at who the actors are. I see that whole thing. But then there's those other parts to where it's like, okay, so I want this scene in it. Where do I go to get there?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I've always had a creative brain, but sometimes I'm like, it's very scattered and I do too much sometimes. And so that's where I'm like, Bryn, you need to take a breath and do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Sure.
So do you ever write something that you're like, okay, this is part of this movie, and now I'm writing over here, and you're like, actually, it makes more sense. Like, we're gonna not just take it completely
merge
from
them?
one movie to the other, and like this scene makes more sense over here. Did anything like that ever happen? Like,
It hasn't happened yet.
yeah,
For me personally. But I will say, there's a lot of projects, video games, movies, television shows that I love, that I know I'm repeating myself a little bit, but I will say there's parts of it that I'm like, it feels right to give a little tip of the cap to that story, character,
Sure. Absolutely.
in
Yeah.
this
Homage to
project,
it. Yeah.
basically. So like when you think about Never Return, I feel like a lot of people are going to be seeing a little tip of the cap to like Michael Myers and Halloween, or Friday the 13th and Jason Voorhees, or Wrong Turn, Until Dawn. And video games specifically, I love the gameplay, where it's like with Until Dawn, like you make these decisions and it basically shows you the way of how that can change the story. And that's something I loved so much about that. And there's so many other games that are out now that are done by Supermassive that are just like it. But those are the kind of games that I love to play the most, because it's
Okay.
like you're watching a movie, but you're making those decisions for it.
sure.
So you're
That's
like,
gotta be cool.
oh shit. It's interesting.
How do you find time to video game?
They're so different than when I was a kid.
When is this happen? You're writing 9 scripts at the same time. When does this happen?
Welcome to my life.
Yeah.
That's my daily shit. I'm just like, work, movie work. Okay, we'll start playing a video game from like 9 p.m. till 3 a.m. Sleep. Do it again.
Yeah. I was gonna say, not only that, we had to get her. You have a day job. Like the movie business is not your only. Like we had to schedule this outside the day job. So
yeah, and it's I mean, one day I know that myself and this amazing cast and crew, we're going to just soar and be creating some awesome, crazy things for everyone to see. To where this is going to be full time for all of us.
Yeah,
but. Also, I think it's very, it's a good idea to play what a lot of people would call the long game. Stay patient, do what you have to do, and then your time will come. Don't force it, because as soon as you force it, that's when everything ultimately just gets all out of whack.
Yeah.
Just let it play out. It will happen.
It will.
Well, I love the confidence, because
it will.
You got to have that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I try.
And look at that. I mean, you're literally about to make your first movie. I mean, all on your own. Where does it go from here? You got to keep going up. And I'm excited for the way your brain works, and just listening to you talk. I'm excited for more scripts to come out of you.
Oh yeah, I'm listen, if I could tell my cast, like, okay, so we just wrapped this, but I need like 3 of you to still stay here. Is that cool? Great. We're doing a short film right now. Like, so
are all your scripts
a bunch ready to go.
Are they all horror related or psychological related? Do you have, not to be
a rom-com?
Yeah, yeah.
So I have a comedy film and like a rom-com. I haven't dug too deep into them just yet, but I do have 2 different scripts for those. But I have one like thriller short film, and then the one feature that my dad and I came up with that I'm halfway through. Except it's already 120 pages and I'm only halfway through.
That just screams
It's
sequel.
Kill Bill. It's basically going to have to be Kill Bill Part 1 and Part 2.
Yes.
So, and
Perfect.
then my buddy who's shooting the film and the camera guy, Chris Hackett, he has some amazing ideas as well. And he and I are also going to actually dig into the Bible, the book of Revelations, and come up with some ideas as well. Because my aunt, she was she's dug into the Bible a little bit more. I'm starting to do that as well. But she even said to me, she goes, Bryn, I'm surprised you haven't, made a film out of the book of Revelations, because it's literally a horror movie. And I was like, really? And I was like, okay, I'm intrigued. I'm really going to dig into this. And so, like I said, my buddy Chris and I, we have so many things that are running through our brains, of my own, of his, for both of us. This is just the beginning for all of us. And it's just awesome. Up from here.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully,
go ahead.
Hopefully you can. So I was just, when you said the comedy and the difference. So we just went and saw Heart Eyes.
I want to see that. What did you think?
Well, and we were driving over. I'm like, because I when I go to a movie, I don't like to see trailer. I usually don't like to watch trailer. I just want to go in. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, they're gonna fall in love and then they're gonna get killed, And so it literally is a rom-com with slasher. So parts where like you gotta, it's cheesy, but I didn't like the killer. I gotta like the killer. I thought he was too. I sat down. The guy sat down and said, "I got to make the perfect costume instead of just letting it happen." We go back to Jason. He throws on a mask, or not. Back then. So that's. I'm not trying to discourage anyone from go seeing it, because
sounds like you are.
There were, and then I was sitting there going, "It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does."
I was gonna say, I don't think you were getting anybody from that movie.
But at one point, I went, and so that. There are no cool kills, and all of a sudden, there's a good one. And then they made up for it with some more kill. But there is a big chunk of the love story in there that I was like, all right, move on, get to the kills.
I gotcha.
So I want you to go and enjoy it and see it for yourself if you liked it or not.
Sounds good
All right,
to
but-
me. I
but
will
let's
have
get
to
back to
keep you updated on that one then.
Yes, yes.
Let's get back to your movie, though. I don't even know what movie you're talking about. No offense.
No, but I forget where I was going with it. I think just because you mentioned the rom-com, you had one written.
Do you have any fundraisers coming up? I know you're the Indiegogos. I saw there was a couple of them that have happened, but they both are closed up. Is there going to be more stuff like that coming up in the new year?
Yes. So I've actually been throwing around if I want to actually start it a little earlier in March.
Because we want our names on there as producers.
We're in.
Oh,
How
Thank
does
you.
yeah, we'll be looking for that perk. We love when we see our name on a DVD case. I assume there'll be a physical copy of this at some point.
yes, at some point there definitely will be.
What?
I was recommended to a sales agent, so I'm going to be like really talking with him soon. We are talking to a few investors, heavier investors, which I'm very blessed to be in that spot right now. Because like I said, it's been 2.5 years, and we've had a decent amount of kickbacks, and that still is not going to stop me. Like, this movie will get made, and it can go places, and I know it can. And that's not just because of me anymore. It's because of my cast and crew. And that's why, like I even said earlier, independent film, when it comes to Indiegogo, it can be a little complicated. And that's because a lot of people have been burned, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
And it's heartbreaking for the people that actually get the film done and get it out for everybody to see. People who you genuinely can support and trust are now affected because somebody else lied and pulled a bunch of schemes. And it sucks.
Oh,
but
that's too bad.
I still believe everyone deserves a chance. So if you can donate to the campaign, I'm telling you where it's going to go, and that's exactly where it is going to go. If you get a perk, it's going to be fulfilled. The movie will come out. We plan on streaming. We plan on theatrical release. We plan on DVDs. Does that mean every single thing is going to happen? No, because that's just how it works. But this movie will get made and it will come out. And I know that it deserves to be seen in theaters. Everyone's name in the credits, everyone's face that's acting in front of the camera, they deserve to be seen. And everyone deserves that opportunity and chance. Because as soon as they get it and you see them, you're going to all sit here and say, holy shit, not only did she do this, they all did it together.
Yeah.
And everybody should keep working from there. There shouldn't be a time where we're just still sitting here like, oh, I can't find work. What's going to happen? No,
Make the work,
working.
right?
We really should.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talented people who don't work that much, and it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
And that's why I hope that there's a lot of positive change in Hollywood.
But you're not based out of Hollywood. You're in Atlanta now?
So because of the strikes and everything, I had to come back home. So I'm in good old Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
All right.
So and that's fine. But the movie, because we've had people on there that go to Vegas for indie films.
Yeah.
And Atlanta's huge with filming, obviously, but that's more on that, not indie side.
Right.
But so where do you think you're going to film the movie coming up? In Pittsburgh?
So we are going to be filming in Atwater, Ohio, which is just below 2 hours from Pittsburgh. So we're going to get everybody up here, fly them in, or they're driving, and we're getting an Airbnb, and we're all going to snuggle up together and make a great slasher horror for you.
Summer camp.
That's... But just
Pretty
think
much.
after a day of filming, you're going to get back together, and it's going to be like, well, I could have done that better. We'll do it, maybe this for next scene. So I can't imagine the shit that's going to fly and the fun you're going to have. I can't wait to see the end result.
It's going to be a great experience. And I know I repeat myself a lot, but I truly am lucky to have the cast and crew that I have, because without them, I would not be where I'm at. They really have all fought in their own ways.
Yeah.
To stick around, to promote, to talk with me, work with me, all those things. Not a lot of people will do that. They just won't. And I understand why. It's a lot. But that's where, for me, I'm like, if I approach any of them with a film again, whether it's a short film or a feature, I can count on them and I know they'll kick ass.
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
a great feeling.
Well, from here on out, you can count on us too. Anytime you want to come on and you got something new and exciting to, when you start another fundraiser, come back and we'll promote for you.
Let us know when this one opens up again.
Yeah. And when the movie's ready to come out, absolutely. And if any of the cast wants to come on, we love talking with actors too. So
I wanted quick touch on you because you do go to a lot of film festivals and
Yeah.
It seems like your Instagram is full with a lot of obviously meeting stars, but you mentioned it earlier. So do you talk to them and get what am I saying? Network with them with film ideas and coming on your film, or do you feel it's worth the effort, not just a fan person, but to network? Because we've talked about going to HorrorCon,
we're
film
going.
fest.
We're going.
So for me personally, when I go to a show, I don't outright say like, oh, well, I'm an actor, director, writer, and I want to work with you. Like for me, I just feel like that's not authentic. Again, completely speaking for myself, that works for some people. For me, I just feel like I feel like I'm stepping on toes when I do that.
Okay.
So if I'm working with them, and we're just chit chatting or whatever, and they end up asking like, oh, like, what do you do? Or like, how do you work these shows kind of thing? Because there are some shows that will hire people on, or the agents will bring in volunteers. It just depends. So that's when I would get into a little bit of detail and say like, oh yeah, like I act, I direct, I write, all that kind of stuff. I come to these and, hopefully get paid and just enjoy my time and meet great people and connect. And like I said, some of these celebrities, sometimes I don't really like calling them celebrities because they're just people just like us, but I've become friends with some of them and they're really great people. There's those few in the batch that you'll meet though that are they're very interesting people.
Sounds like you're sugarcoating that a little bit with the word interesting. We'll leave it at that.
We don't need a name drop.
Yeah.
I've met a couple that are
Yeah.
very unkind.
Okay, so we don't want to go that direction. Who did you meet that surprised the shit out of you? Like this, I thought they were going to be either way, good, bad, or indifferent.
I would say most recently that surprised me would be Jackson Rathbone from Twilight.
Okay.
And in a good way. In a good way, he surprised me.
Sure.
So I got to work with him at a show last year, and he's Atlanta based. So we were talking a lot about Atlanta, my hometown, and his hometown because he wasn't born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. But we just we just connected very easily is the best way to put it. But he is very funny and in a dark humored way. And that's where I was like, that's my dude. That's my dude. He was really cool to work with. Very cool guy. I highly recommend meeting him at any show that you're able to. He does travel a lot with the cast of Twilight. So like Ashley Greene, Peter Facinelli, Kellen Lutz, him, and then sometimes Nikki Reed. She's been doing cons a little bit more. But her husband, Ian Somerhalder, does a lot of the Vampire Diaries conventions with a lot of the cast and crew even. So you just start almost in a sense like intermixing with people. And you do become friends with some of them, or at least acquaintances, because a lot of them do a lot of the same shows together or every year. And so you're able to run into people a lot.
Is there one of them that you recommend the most that you had, like, as far as where? Because, I mean, I've seen somewhere.
You're putting her on the spot.
Yeah, and I don't mean to. I mean, if
I can definitely give you
let me rephrase that. I don't mean like the network. I don't mean where I'm not asking that just as a fan. Which one do you feel is worth any travel? Because anything we would, being from Wisconsin, we're going to travel.
Oh, yeah. Scarefest in Kentucky is a great show. They have heavily expanded. Heavily. The last show I worked at it, the last 2 shows I worked at them. The one I worked was Scout, and then the last one I just worked was with Dorothy Fielding from Fright Night. They had a Fright Night reunion.
Oh, nice.
Love that movie.
They had over 100 celebrity guests there.
Holy shit.
And I was like, huh?
Yeah.
And they had, I want to say, over 40,000 people there that whole weekend.
Holy shit.
And I was there the year before. And like I said, within a year, jumped significantly. I was like,
So it's a good time to be.
Definitely a show I would recommend.
Okay.
Monster Mania in Cherry Hill, New Jersey is a good one. Horror Hound, great show.
Okay.
And where's that one?
I'm trying to go to this one at the end of March so I can finally meet Chrissy because I love Chrissy and her work. She's going to be there with some Terrifier 3 people. So if anybody that watches this didn't know that, go see everybody at Horror Hound. That is a really good show, though. It's been around for a while.
Because we're talking about going to one in Chicago.
Yeah,
In
May,
May, I believe it is.
Is it Days of the Dead or is it a different one?
I don't even know, to tell you the truth. I can't remember what the
one
name
is. Days of the Dead. I think there was a second one, but
Yeah, I don't know.
possibly the Days of the Dead. Which
Because I'm literally getting on a plane at 5 tomorrow morning to go down to Days of the Dead Atlanta.
Oh, wow. Okay.
okay.
So I'm going to be seeing Kaylee, hanging out and chit-chatting and having a good time.
Sounds
Okay.
like fun.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I have one last question, unless
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just curious because you are definitely, you do everything. I've seen you act in the short special delivery.
Yeah.
Obviously, it didn't go the direction I had hoped it was going to go at the beginning. I'm just saying. It very much felt like I was going to be watching a different short. Anyway, and obviously you're.
But she loves it. That's what they wanted.
Oh, that's obviously what they wanted. Yes, it was. Yes. It was a very fun short. And I love that it's findable on YouTube because the problem with shorts so much is you can never find them anywhere. So go check it out. Special delivery. I'll put it in the links below. Anyway, you obviously you have a lot of scripts written. You wrote Never Return, and you're obviously directing. What if you could only do one of those for the rest of your life? Which one is the most passion?
Out of writing, directing, and acting?
Yeah.
If I was being held at gunpoint and someone told me I had to pick one, I probably would choose directing.
Okay.
I love working with the actors. Now, I love writing just as much, and I love being in front of the camera just as much. But there's something about directing that I always just hook into.
Yeah.
Is it bossing the people around or expanding your vision?
I mean, some people might say that, but
not you. No.
No, I love collaboration. So I feel like in those moments when I'm talking to the actor and say I ask them to make an adjustment, but then they counter and say, well, what about this?
Mm-hmm.
I did this because, and it's like, oh, okay, now I see it. Got it. Let's run it again. I love collaboration. And so having those moments, I feel like is what's better for me. Whereas you can still feel that way with writing and acting, but with acting, there's a lot of emotion that goes into it, a lot of memorizing, and I've done it before, but there's directing, I would say, would be my top pick.
Okay.
So, and really, if the movie's great, the director gets the credit, and the movie's shit, the director gets all the blame. So as an actor, you can be like, I'm amazing, but the director fucked it up. I wrote an amazing script, but the director fucked it up. So you're taking on a lot with that being your choice.
And
that's my point.
I think that's also what I like about it. I like a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
Challenge me. Let's let's collaborate and let's make this a kick-ass project.
Yeah.
If you as the actor can look me in the face and be like, no, you're fucking wrong. Okay, cool. Then let's talk about why I'm fucking wrong. Let's go.
Right.
I'm not gonna. I don't want to sit there and argue with you. Let's do this together. And
Sure.
I can go on and on. I know sometimes I'm like cheesy and like go on spiels, so you can be like, Bryn, stop. But yeah,
We would. I don't think either one of us would ever ask you to stop.
No,
because
I love the passion.
yeah. Yes.
thank you.
When you said Pittsburgh, I was like, yeah, you can see you have that Pittsburgh work ethic and that passion that what are you called if you're from Pittsburgh? Pittsburghian?
Yinzers.
Okay. Well, you're one of, yeah. I don't want to say it.
I'm not going to say it because I will fuck it up.
I feel like I fucked that up. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us. And like I said, whenever you want to come back to, promote some more,
Absolutely.
let us know. We'll do it again because this is a lot of fun. And we love talking movies and we love indie movies and we just love everything that goes into it. So we appreciate it.
Absolutely. No, thank you for having me. This has been really fun, and I will definitely hit you guys up to come back on for sure.
Cool.
Awesome.
So promote, tell them where to find everything and all that good stuff.
My Instagram is at Bryn Dami _ BRYNDAMI _ and then to follow better updates pertaining to the movie itself, it's at Never Return Movie on Instagram. Feel free to follow me on Facebook or friend me on Facebook. I do make posts there as well. My YouTube channel, with, our trailer and even just the Indiegogo updates, that is the Bad Collection podcast. If you even just search that up and click on that, it'll take you straight to my page on YouTube. Stay tuned for more. You can check out my website as well at www.bryndami.com.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you very
so much.
We really appreciate it.
We love that.
Thank you guys. Talk soon.
All right.
All right. Night.
Thank you for listening. The tavern is closed for now, but we'd love to have you back for more fun next time. Seriously though, get your asses out of here.